Did you know that up to 65% of people remember stories better than facts or figures? That's right. Our brains are wired for storytelling. It's a powerful tool that can build connections, evoke emotions, and even change how we see the world. In fact, when you tell a story, you activate the same areas of the brain in your listeners as if they were experiencing it themselves. This means that your stories don't just entertain, they can actually influence thoughts and feelings. But here's the kicker: many people underestimate the power of their own stories. They think they need to have extraordinary experiences to share something meaningful. The truth is, every person has a unique story that can resonate with others. In this video, we will explore how personal stories create connections that bring us closer together. We'll dive into strategies that make your storytelling engaging and relatable. You'll learn why the small details matter, how vulnerability can be your strength, and the secrets to crafting a narrative that sticks. Get ready to unlock the hidden power of your own stories. You won't want to miss the insights that can change the way you connect with others. Let's get started. Chapter 1: Why your stories matter more than you think. Many people think their personal stories aren't interesting enough to share. But here's the truth: everyone's story matters. Research shows that when we share personal experiences, the brain releases oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone. That means when you tell a story, you're actually building connections on a biochemical level. Think about it this way: it's not about having some grand, life-changing event to talk about. It's about how relatable your story is. According to a study by psychologist Dr. Paul Zak, stories with emotional content can increase oxytocin production by up to 47%. So, even if you're sharing something as simple as your morning coffee routine, if you weave in some emotion, people will connect. Don't underestimate the power of small moments. Something as ordinary as getting stuck in traffic can lead to an engaging story. As Maya Angelou said, there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. Every experience has value. It's not about how big or small it is, it's about how you tell it. Chapter 2: Emotional Bridges, the secret to relating, not impressing. So often, people think storytelling is about impressing others. But the real secret? It's about relating to them. Emotional bridges are what connect us on a deeper level. When you focus on shared human experiences rather than flashy achievements, you create a space for others to feel seen and understood. A study from Princeton University found that when someone tells a story, the brain activity of the storyteller and the listener can sync up, a phenomenon called neural coupling. This means that when you open up emotionally, the person listening can actually feel what you feel. It's like your minds are connecting. Pretty powerful, right? Instead of thinking, how can I impress them? Ask, how can I make them feel something? Vulnerability is key here. In fact, Brené Brown's research shows that vulnerability is the birthplace of connection. It's when we share our fears, struggles, and real emotions that people truly connect with us. Think of your stories as building blocks for trust. When you share a personal struggle, you're not just telling people about yourself. You're inviting them to share their own. That's what builds lasting relationships. Chapter 3: Crafting a narrative thread that pulls people in. Now, let's talk strategy. How do you pull people into your story and keep them there? The answer is creating a strong narrative thread. Think of your story like a string that pulls your listeners along from beginning to end. If your string is weak or tangled, they'll drop off. But if it's strong and clear, they'll stay hooked. One way to do this is by starting with a hook, something intriguing that grabs attention right away. This could be a question, a surprising fact, or even starting in the middle of the action. For example, "I didn't think I'd survive my first day on the job, but here's what happened." Instantly pulls people in, doesn't it? Another tactic is building tension. Every good story has moments where the outcome is uncertain. Maybe it's a challenge you faced or a decision you struggled with. According to Aristotle's Poetics, tension and release are essential components of storytelling. They keep listeners engaged because they want to know what happens next. Lastly, don't forget the resolution. People crave closure. Your story doesn't have to have a happy ending, but it should feel complete. Whether you learned a lesson, gained new insight, or simply found peace, wrapping up your narrative leaves your audience satisfied. Great stories don't happen by accident. They're built piece by piece, with thought and intention. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes to weave your own narrative thread. Don't forget to subscribe for more insights on storytelling and connection. You won't want to miss the upcoming chapters that dive deeper into the art of sharing personal stories. Chapter 4, The Power of Specificity, Why the Small Details Matter. Let's get real, details make or break a story. Imagine listening to someone share a vague, general story. It's forgettable, right? Now, imagine a storyteller painting a picture with clear, vivid details. That's the kind of story that sticks with you. The key is specificity. Small, sensory details help your audience visualize your experience. For example, instead of saying, "I was nervous," say, "My hands were sweating, and I couldn't stop tapping my foot." Suddenly, your nerves become real and relatable. Research by Stanford's Graduate School of Business shows that stories with specific details can be up to 22 times more memorable than just stating facts. Details make stories personal, which builds connection. It's like novelist Anton Chekhov said, "Don't tell me the moon is shining. Show me the glint of light on broken glass." People want to feel like they're right there with you, seeing and experiencing what you are. The more vivid and specific your story, the more you invite your audience into your world. When crafting a story, think about the 5 senses: sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell. Including these sensory cues brings your story to life. Plus, it helps people visualize it in their minds, making it easier to connect emotionally. So, next time you tell a story, think about the tiny, powerful details you can sprinkle in to make it pop. Chapter 5, Turning Vulnerability into Strength. Here's something we all need to hear. Your vulnerability is a superpower. Most people shy away from showing their vulnerable side because they think it's a weakness. But in storytelling, it's actually what makes you strong. Brené Brown, one of the leading researchers on vulnerability, famously said, "Vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome." In other words, when you're honest about your struggles, people relate to you more. They see your humanity, and that builds trust. Consider this: a study by Harvard Business School found that when leaders share their failures and vulnerabilities, they become more relatable and admired by their teams. The same goes for storytelling. If you only share the highlights of your life, people will tune out. But if you talk about the times you failed, the mistakes you made, or the fears you faced, your audience will lean in. They'll see themselves in your story. Think about moments in your life when you felt uncertain, afraid, or challenged. Sharing those experiences might feel risky, but it's where true connection lies. Vulnerability builds empathy, and empathy leads to stronger, more authentic relationships. Chapter 6, Creating Lasting Impact. Stories that stick. Telling a good story is one thing. But how do you make your story stick with people long after it's over? The secret is leaving them with something they can't forget, whether that's a powerful emotion, a lesson, or a mental image. Psychologist Jerome Bruner discovered that people are 20 times more likely to remember facts when they're part of a story. That's why your story needs a clear message or takeaway. What do you want your audience to think about or feel after hearing it? Think of it as planting a seed in their mind. You want that seed to grow even after the story ends. One way to create lasting impact is by using contrast. Highlight the difference between where you started and where you ended up. Show the transformation. If your story begins with struggle but ends with hope, that contrast makes the resolution even more powerful. It sticks in people's minds. Another tactic is to end with a call to action. What should your audience do or reflect on after hearing your story? It could be as simple as encouraging them to reflect on their own lives, or maybe you want to inspire them to take a specific action. Either way, leaving them with a sense of purpose keeps your story alive in their minds. Remember, storytelling isn't just about entertaining, it's about leaving an imprint. When you wrap up a story with intention and purpose, your words continue to resonate. That's the magic of a story that truly sticks. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more storytelling tips and insights. Your journey to becoming a great storyteller starts here.